Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA, and you might notice the NMOA, which is the National Mail Order Association. We have a group on LinkedIn, and you can go to nmoa.org, and it will take you right to WDMA. Thanks to John Schulte. I better get going here. Here we go. Red Baron Pizza. The pizza goes... There's a bar brawl, and I didn't really understand most of it, so we'll skip it all. And then they're ready to burn down the town, and a lady with a significant foreign accent says,
"Your pizza is going to get cold.
Your pizza is going to get cold. You should be eating."
Is it better than fighting?
Of course!
What man would ask, is it better than fighting to be eating? Okay, so anyway.
So, Lonely Pete and really rude Rick learned that a punch in the face might be fun, but sharing a fully
Apparently there's a
Red Baron
longer length movie,
is always
but I
tastier.
shortened it up for you.
Yeah, that's about all we have time for today.
And let's look at the backstory on this, because I just think that was one of the worst commercials of all time. Nothing to do with pizza, and they don't even slice it out like you're supposed to, where they've got it screwed down and they put the Elmer's glue in it to mix it with the cheese to make it all those stretchy things go. If you've ever seen that on like Instagram, they show how they make pizza commercials. So whoops, now we got to get over here to the PDFs. There we are. Okay, and that's from Audrey Kemp, and it says that the showdown begins with two rough and tumble miners over fully loaded, hand-tossed style pizza, and they have a comically diverse cast of characters, which you can't make out at all because it goes too fast. They would be better off with 1/3 as many characters and actually showing them for more than a millisecond or two. It's a total shift from anything Red Baron has ever done. They don't mention Red Baron much until the end. By then you've tuned out, I think. And here's their basis for it. 1 in 3 frozen pizza eaters say they enjoy entertaining friends. Well, how does that compare with the rest of the population? That seems lower than average, wouldn't it be? Only 1 in 3 frozen pizza eaters enjoy entertaining friends. I would bet fresh pizza eaters half of them enjoy entertaining friends. I would bet people who actually know how to cook, 2/3 of them enjoy entertaining friends. Anyway, many of them also identify as movie buffs. People who eat frozen pizzas watch movies. So let's make it look like a movie. Oh man, I think luckily no one's mentioned in this, so I can't pick on anybody in particular. I think there might be some people mentioned down in the bottom. Martin Insula was the creative director. Okay, so we'll mention Martin. And there's a lot of other people. We'll tag them all. If that wasn't one of the worst commercials I've ever seen, I don't know what is. Okay, so now let's get over to another completely different topic. This is a long article by Ernie Smith, 12 minutes. I'm not going to give you the whole 12 minutes, but he starts out with the lines being blurred between marketing and journalism. Well, the lines have always been blurred. You do a press release, you pay somebody, you advertise in a magazine, and they'll feature your company. I don't see that as anything new, and I think he completely misses the point of a Magalog. I really do. Well, let's work our way through this. He calls Magalog, an unholy merger of content and sales that once dominated the world. That's Ernie. Okay, well, I don't know if it dominated the world, but Montgomery Ward is famous. One UPI story said boys should like Ward's new Magalog. Compared its use of models to the spreads of Playboy. Well, I do remember occasionally. I mean, we used to get the Sears catalog and the Penny's catalog, and there were women in, modeling their underwear. But I wouldn't say it compared to a Playboy. That's just my vague, foggy recollection as I flipped by them, of course, when I was probably 8 years old or something. Who made the catalog valuable as a magazine? And then they tell the story of Gary Comer, who actually was the founder of Land's End. It seems to me he was a sailboat racer on Lake Michigan out of Chicago. And I thought he started with duffel bags. Catalog dedicated to the needs of boaters. It seems to me he went across Lake Michigan and everybody's gear got soaked, and so he came up with a way to make duffel bags that were more waterproof and would keep your gear more dry. But in addition, they show this racing sailor's equipment guide. The information inside the catalog was so valuable it became a de facto guide for the industry. Okay, I gotta get my line back. Okay. And it would be a couple decades before Land's End would get into apparel, right? But they did have a lot of sailing stuff. And I remember going there in the 70s and looking around. I think I bought some boat shoes there. So they are credited later in the article with being a catalog that had engaging elements of an editorial publication. And I remember reading about the sheep farmers in New Zealand and Tasmania and all of the wonderful alpaca wool that they used. And here's apparently an interior shot of sizes of rope. And in later retellings of the history of the Magalog, Land's End was often seen as the company that shaped the overall model. But I want to make a point here, because Ernie doesn't seem to be that hyped on Magalogs, that I think Gary wanted to tell you why he liked it, why the stuff was good. Okay, so here's a catalog from later. This is 1982. I was a buyer all the way along. It's wonderful stuff. You know, beautiful cotton sweaters. I probably still have some of mine. You're more likely to buy something from a catalog that's interesting. And as I said, they went into great lengths to tell you stuff about the great lengths that they had gone to get the stuff. Okay? So a Magalog has some degree of journalistic interest. Land's End even hired a Chicago Tribune reporter. Ernie's point is it kind of went downhill. Mike Clausen is called the Magalog guy. That's the guy I was looking for. And then down here's the one I wanted. While I won't say that a catalog like Land's End was built with a certain kind of ethics and journalism integrity, I do think that over time a concept is developed, specifically as high-end products, in many cases, slowly evolved into something of a transparent commercial play in the hands of marketers more interested in getting a buck than creating a valuable long-term relationship. I've told this story before, but I was at the back of Land's End one time, and they were talking to a towel maker when they were starting to go into the home goods, and they told them that they will honor their guarantee, and they want the towel to be a lifelong type towel, a towel that lasts so long nobody's going to complain about it or send it back. And they said, we're not going to tell you how to make towels, but we are going to stand by the product. So we want you to make a really good towel. And that was really, this was way in the interior. It was next to the library. I was waiting for somebody. I'd been sent down there because I was working on some consulting with Land's End. But, I had no business being outside of that little conference room, but it was refreshing to hear them talking about how they really, really wanted something of quality. Too often merchants are telling manufacturers, we want you to make it just as nice, but cut the costs on it a lot. Okay, so anyway, let's get over to this. I wanted to just take a little while and talk about making benefits clear, which I think was the real point of the Magalog. And so I'm going to give you a couple examples. This was work I did at Deluxe probably in the mid 80s, because I was up there before I was on my own and when I was still working for Vic Hunter. Here's their catalog: Deluxe Business Forms and Supplies catalog. Okay, and my first contention here was that deluxe can be an adjective. Deluxe business forms. So these are higher quality than average. No connection except down here, real small print. Very small 800 number and very small other stuff. Take $20 off any order or $100 of $100 or more. It's too complicated. This is just 20% off your order, which is easier to figure out. But we made the deluxe logo the real type font, the real color that Deluxe uses. We made it big, and we were clearer here. Forms, stationery, supplies, the building blocks to a successful business. Okay, here's the benefit: you can get all your stuff in this catalog. Okay, and it's from the company you're already buying checks from, but it's not checks; it's forms, stationery, supplies. We also ship FedEx right there. We can get it to you fast if you just ran out of business cards. That's a really important point in this category. So anyway, I remember it doing much better. I don't remember. We also cut $160,000 out of the cost because this has been done by an agency who didn't understand signatures and pagination. So it was a big hit for Deluxe, and Andy Halleck and I continued to work together for many years based on that experience. Okay, they also had this offer that they were doing. They were doing rent collecting checks, sort of check stubs that people would get the whole packet when they got their lease, and every month they would pull it off and could mail it in. And so they were introducing this to landlords, introducing a way to collect monthly payments. I added a money-saving way to collect monthly payments. They were inexpensive, very inexpensive, and they improved the rent collection. Okay, a money-saving way to collect payments. Here's their interior, as they put it, lots of fine print, not very much visual hierarchy. They do show the product over there, and you turn it sideways to fill in the order form. I made the order form this way. I said free information packet, okay, and so effective you'll ever wonder how you managed without it. So we highlighted the benefit up there. I think there's some more. Customized for each unit. That was important, so you could track the payments. You didn't have to figure out who this money was coming from for which apartment. As low as $1.47 per book. Almost nothing. That's 10 cents per month for your renter. Made the 800 number much bigger, and that's how you do it. And that improved the response 20%. That head-to-head test, we did do that one head-to-head. Hopkins Medical Products. Same price as $19.95, same price as $19.95. That was all about price and small shots of the product that you could hardly tell what it was. So when I met with them and sat down with them, they said, well, a big thing in our industry, this is home health care products, is helping you meet HIPAA privacy standards. And the problem with that is you had to have a locked compartment where you put the patient records. So if you forgot your bag or you left it or it got stolen or something, somebody couldn't just leaf through and find out all the ailments that the people you were working with had. Okay, to demonstrate compliance, locked bags are essential. See that? We put that right on the front. And we also do staff training. So if you're handling multiple staff, so we moved the benefits to the front. And again, much better. I don't remember the percentage. I don't remember that they did head-to-head testing. One of the things about a catalog cover is you can do head-to-head testing. You leave the rest of the cover the same. And then this is this is one of the real Magalogs I created. This was their catalog before we worked together. It has some benefits in very hard to read type. It's just like the art department couldn't think of what to put on it. They put the Statue of Liberty so you knew they were from out east. I don't know that that's a benefit. Anyway, when I sat down with them, they were talking about how you could have a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment sitting in customs because somebody mistyped some of the forms. I think I have that. I have another one of their catalogs. See, they made these assortment of forms that were all reconciled. So you might have, a bill of lading, and you might have a customs declaration, and you might have something else. You might have 6 or 7 Port Authority forms and other things that tell what this piece of machinery is. Now, if you're typing them by hand, I want you to understand, you can get a pad of these at this time. You can get a pad of them for like $1. And they were selling them for like $10 for the set, for one set, not one form. And so, but what they weren't making clear was that there was a serious problem if you made one typo on one of the 5 or 6 forms that had to match. And so what they did was put them together with carbonless forms, so that one-time typing, even if you made a typo, at least it would match all the forms. Okay? And so then what we did was we made a Magalog, and you see it's way bigger. We wanted it to dominate the desk, okay? And it tells stories about put the harmonized schedule at your fingertips. It had stories about terrible catastrophes where people were messed up, and what was really great was they also offered classes. And so we just had the people who were offering the classes tell the stories that they were going to sort of share and expand upon in the classes. So it was a real win-win. It promoted the instructors, it promoted the classes, it promoted the benefit, even though it was maybe 10 or 50 times more expensive, and again, worked great. Okay, here's another cover test, and I was handing out this side cover, and it had logos of important companies like Pontiac and Caterpillar and 3M. You see that? Big companies that you'd recognize. And we thought that it elevated the imprinted merchandise category. But when I would give it to friends who owned companies, they would say, "Why would I want a Pontiac hat?" They weren't getting it. The benefit wasn't clear, as I said. And so instead of that, I had to fire my creative director. And we had the creative people do logos, your imprint here, custom embroidery in a different type font, your imprint here in a different type font. And sometimes it said your logo or whatever. I can't hardly read it. What literally you can see there's almost no difference between these two covers. Every piece of type is the same. Every interior page was the same. The back cover was the same. The only thing we changed was the imprints on the items and made them as identical as possible. There's a couple of exceptions. This is a different pen from this one, and I don't remember why, but whatever reason it was. And so what do you think? We split tested 600,000 pieces, and the Your Imprint Here cover, now remember, we had an observation. People didn't know what we were doing. We heard that over and over. I did with my friends. But it was anecdotal, but it was an observation. So we had the hypothesis that if we were more clear about what we were selling, people would buy more. Okay? It's not a Magalog, but it was putting the benefits on the cover. And so once it happened, it turned out it was a 40% improvement. 40%. 40%. That's a lot when you're mailing 600,000 pieces, right? That's like huge. That went from not making money prospecting to making money prospecting. This was about the biggest breakthrough in their history. And because we had an observation, a hypothesis, and then a firm explanation for why it worked better, we had a theory that we could repeat then over and over and over. We didn't have to go back. We could have. I'm sure we could have gotten similar results, but it was a major win. And that's the way you have to think about making your benefits clear. Have a great day. Like and share. I gave you a little mini webinar today. Bye-bye.